Welcome to Film Room with head coach Kevin O'Connell. And coach, we at the VEN are so excited to have you all season long, giving us insight into this game and this team that we love. Before the season started, I had the opportunity to sit through one of your film sessions. And I watched it and I said, this is what the world needs to see. This is what football fans and fans of this team need to see. And we're so happy that you're here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here as well because this gives us an opportunity. We talk a lot about connecting with our fans, and no better way to do that, in my opinion, than to get to talk a little X's and O's and kind of the why behind a lot of the success that hopefully we'll have as an offense and as a team. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, speaking of success, our first episode is going to be about a trio of college rookies drafted that made the final 53. And the first one we're going to talk about is this guy, Tai Chandler.
Chandler sprints up the middle, angles left, 20, 15, 10, and Tai Chandler is tripped up inside the 5-yard line.
Now, Coach, that was a great play by Tai Chandler. He had a great preseason. Tell us what went into this play.
Yeah, I think what's awesome about this play, and I'm so glad we get to talk about it, is it really personifies what we want to do from a run game standpoint. Obviously, we've got great backs, and Tai has fit in very clearly, and it's easy to watch his progression because of how he's kind of grown behind those other three backs. But what I want our fans to really focus on is we call these combinations right here. The one over here is really a single, and there's what we call a B block, okay? And when people kind of look at this, I want to see basically right there. See how those guys got connected. And in both cases, really, they're making this player right here almost disappear off the screen, and that's what we're looking for. Singles and Bs in our offense basically mean we're changing the line of scrimmage. It's the illusion of us having the ability to kind of run what I call, are we running the ball out here in what a lot of teams in this league call wide zone? It's the illusion of complexity. We're really setting that thing like we're running there, but you see that hole right there that Tai finds. And then you see how the rest of our offensive philosophy kind of comes together. And just one more time looking at this thing from a standpoint of the beginning of the snap, you'll see a lot of really good things. Take a look at our receiver right here. All right, not a lot of people give receivers a lot of credit for blocking on the edge. Take a look at this receiver grouping on the backside of this run right here, handling what is essentially the defensive end. All right, so when you get the singles and Bs up front, you get a cut in the defense, you get a great runner with vision like Tai, and then obviously receivers, all 11 working in the run game. That's how plays like that can happen.
And the great thing about those combo blocks is they're coming together, but they have their vision on the next level. So it's not just you're looking at the guy you're blocking, you've got to team this thing up and then look at who's the next guy into the picture.
And as we watch this one more time, it's a great point you make because what you'll see, let me pause it at the right time. You're exactly right. They've got vision on these two players right here because they're technically responsible to come off and handle those players. But watch the timing at which they both come off. You know you're running this play correctly when both linemen depart that kind of double team and work to the second level at the same time. And that's the special part about what we call the mid zone here at the Minnesota Vikings. No better clip than to show that right there. Just wish we could have kept our feet up and get the guy in the end zone right there. But that's the all 11 aspect with a really talented player behind a good offensive line.
And that's what we saw out of Chandler at North Carolina. Was the first guy very rarely brought him down. Right. So this next guy we're going to talk about, wide receiver from Michigan State, Jalen Nailor, he's done some great things as well.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Jalen is just understanding, you see him right here, he's lined up in the slot, and what that basically means is he's going to have another outside receiver or a tight end outside of him, and that normally can get a matchup right there with the nickel. And we really like that for a lot of reasons because the nickel, I think there's a lot of really good nickels in this league, but as you watch this right here, this is tight coverage, and this takes a guy, the one thing that I think college players sometimes, as we re-rack this thing, the one thing college players tend to do is they struggle with contact in the NFL because in college there's so much more space, the wider hashes, you can manipulate it so much more, but with these tighter hashes, these defenders can play that outside leverage and then just try to get grabby and holdy. And if you had a camera on me on this clip right here, I probably would have been screaming at the officials to throw a flag. But let's just watch this again. So as he stems, you see that subtle little move right there? All that did was gets that defender slightly off of his grass because he's entitled to it as the defender. It's almost like taking a charge in basketball. That defender, if he's directly in front of Jalen, is entitled to that space. But when Jalen moves him off the spot right there and then finishes that route, right there, he's won enough that Sean can turn that thing loose. You clearly see Sean's already started his arm. The ball's out of his hands. But watch the finish to this play with Jalen coming back to that football for those extra 2 yards. And that's what allows him to finish this thing for a catch and conversion on a big third down. Not a premier play right there versus man coverage, but it's one that Jalen's able to win with technique, some physicality at the top, and then the detail to finish back to the ball.
Do you find that hard to teach receivers? Because I know at the high school level, with my experience, teaching a receiver to come back to the ball.
Yeah.
Is that a hard thing to teach at this level? Is it something that these guys already know when they get here?
It's something you got to emphasize all the time, because what he does right here, and it's a great point, he thinks in his mind, I just did my job, I won, but the play's not over. And this is what is the separation from high school to college to now in the NFL, where everybody we play every Sunday will have the ability to cover. So when you're able to win, you're able to win leverage, you're able to get that step, quarterback trusts you to turn it loose. It's that last little rhythm coming back to the ball right there, and then the physicality to be able to locate that ball with your hands, extend it away from your body. Really hard to defend right there with that kind of execution from another one of our impressive rookies we have here.
And from a 6th-round pick, you know, you maybe point to that 40 time, but he does have that short area quickness to get himself, and he's a great route runner.
And the technician of understanding stems and angles and leverage. Those are the things that helps guys like Cooper Kupp, who maybe didn't have that all-world 40 time. They're pretty hard to cover when they have that kind of detail and that kind of skill set.
Now, finally, our last guy is one of my personal favorites, linebacker out of Oklahoma, Brian Asamoah. I mean, he's explosive, he's fast, he just does so many things. But I think this play right here personifies what he is. You know, on paper, not the prototypical size, but man, this kid has everything else you could possibly want.
I'll tell you what, and this is a great play to look at from our Niner game, but you could really pull a play from probably each quarter of all 3 of our preseason games where this guy was making plays just like this. And there's a lot to look at right here on a simple play. The Niners are basically, we just talked about combinations, right? Offensively, we want to basically be able to block these guys and move them off the screen if possible. So the first thing to make note of, obviously, is BA screaming through that gap. That's what we noticed. But if we go back to the start, what you're going to see is guys like Lynch up front, our other guys up front, they're eating up these blocks, which allowed obviously BA to see this, trigger, and go. And when you're not the prototypical size linebacker, the 260-pound Dick Butkuses of the world that made a name for themselves, the Mike Singletaries, you got to play differently. And why we love this guy coming out is his athleticism and his explosion. When he sees it, very rarely is he not going to go make the play, because as you look at this, that gap opens up and he can clearly see the vision of this lineman on him right there. He knows that combination is coming to him. What I love about this is that back doesn't even have the football yet, and BA's already triggered to get downhill and beat that block, which allows him to get underneath it and still have his responsibility in the run fit. I mean, next level, because a lot of times you'll see young players maybe see it, be a step late to diagnose it, and when they do trigger, maybe they're getting blocked out of their gap right there. That could be an explosive run for the Niners. BA stepping up, making a huge play behind those guys up front.
And that's not a blitz either.
No, he's just running through an open gap.
That's the greatest part, is he sees
right
that thing open, puts his foot down, and then just go. He's like a mini Alonzo Spellman.
That's right.
With those long arms. He has some of the longest arms of any linebackers, from what Ryan Grigson told me.
Yeah.
So I'm just so excited to see him coach.
I bet you Griggs could tell you exactly how long those arms are even right now. But no, this was awesome. This is a blast, and it'll be great to get to show our guys off like this.
Coach, thank you for your insight, and we'll be able to bring this to you fans every single week, what this game is all about, what we love about this game and this team. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week.